AI is about to replace your doctor, and that might be the best thing that ever happens to your health. Right now, your body is being tracked by 5 apps, 3 wearables, 2 doctors, and none of them talk to each other. It's chaos. So what happens when AI actually sees everything? Your sleep, your workouts, your blood work, your bad decisions on a Friday night, the fun ones. Suddenly it's not guessing, it's pattern recognition for your life. So you wake up feeling off. Instead of Googling, do I have brain cancer? AI says, no, you slept 4 hours, drank 6 drinks, and skipped hydration. Fix that first. That's just the truth. And it's different because you lie to your doctor. Everybody does. But you don't lie to something that already has the data and doesn't judge you. So now you've got a system that knows you better than your physician, and it isn't judging you for it. That's a power. It's kind of terrifying, but it's inevitable. So here's the real question. If your life could be optimized by a system that sees everything, would you trust it more than you trust yourself? Welcome to AI for Founders. I'm Ryan Estes. Today we're diving into how founders can build products that turn messy human data into clear decisions and why the future belongs to those who unify, not just analyze. This is for builders who see opportunities where others see overload. And if you want unfair advantage like this in your inbox, go to aiforfounders.co. It's where founders stop guessing and start compounding. It's the newsletter your future self wishes you already read. And if this made you think, laugh, or slightly panic, drop a review and let me know what hit. This episode features Steven, the founder of Savva.ai, building a unified health intelligence layer powered by multiple AI models. And real quick, if you want to be the founder that everyone is talking about instead of the one that no one can find, go to kitcaster.com. They'll get you booked on top podcasts in your industry. More shows means more reach, more authority, and more customers. Kitcaster.com. Be the voice people remember. That's Kitcaster by Moburst. Steven, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thanks for having me, Ryan.
Absolute pleasure. You know, we spoke maybe a week or two ago, and I was like, you got to come on the podcast because I've been waiting for this product for so long. There's so many banana peels in this. So let's just dive right in. Give us an overview of your app, which was just approved by the iOS store, Savva.
Thank you. Yes. Savva is a place, a unified area where you could put all your wearables information and data from your Whoop, your Garmin, your Peloton, your Strava, right, and combine it with your medical records and your medications and your labs, and it's a place for people to make informed decisions on their health, to get and have AI analyze it, and also ask questions and get answers that are actually rooted in your actual healthcare data.
It's amazing. And, there's so many innovations that are coming as far as like healthcare goes for pathology. If you're sick, you have an urgency. But there's a lot of people maybe like me that are more, we're not sick. It's like I am into human optimization. I'm into like getting the best out of my meat suit that I possibly can before the water completely runs down the drain. So as such, I end up having all these different disparate apps, like for me, I like Cal AI or MyFitnessPal before that, or Strava, like you were saying, like I'm measuring things all over the place, but I want a centralized place that can like show me like, hey, here's how you could supplement with these foods, maybe these supplements. And that really is kind of, I think, the promise of what Savva is. So I'm super excited about it and really happy that you decided to do this. So let's kind of, one differentiation too is you're using different models. So basically saying that like maybe Claude could tell me something different than Grok, then Gemini could analyze different than GPT. Talk a little bit about the differentiation between models that are actually analyzing the data.
These AI models change, it seems like every couple weeks, right? Kimi 2.5 just came out from Moonshot, which is so much different than Kimi 2.0 and ChatGPT 5.4 versus 5.3, right? And so we give users the optionality without being married to one. And so, plug in a question. When's my medication refill due? Or what was my last blood test and what were the results? And see what Grok has to say. And then 2 seconds later, switch it on to Gemini. And then, what does Med Gemma have to say? And then Llama, and then Falcon, and then Mistral. And so give people the second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth opinions of their healthcare, almost like a roundtable, right? You leave the doctor's office and I don't know what that guy was saying. I don't trust that dude. You go on to, I want a second opinion. It's one of the most common things we say about our healthcare. So giving people that optionality inside the app. And what's really cool about it actually is, it's like $30 a month to have the pro plan for some of these AIs.
Yeah.
And for us, for $10 a year, we give you all of them. And we're able to do and to use Anthropic and then GPT and then Gemini and then Grok. And we do so because we don't give you unlimited answers, right? You can have, I think with Grok for $10 a year, it's something like 12,000 questions and answers. And so while it's not unlimited, it's still ample. Who's really going to ask more than 12,000 questions in a year? And even if you do, just re-up the $10. And so letting people choose between these AIs as well as to do so in a way that you're not breaking the bank either.
Yeah. Well, and it's interesting now too, because, maybe since October, November, I've noticed certain, LLMs are definitely smarter. And it's hard. Everybody's publishing their new benchmarks about we can do this, we can do that. But ultimately, it's just like a feeling as you're engaging with it. You're like, ooh, like this one is really appealing to me right now. So I'll kind of move over there and then kind of go back and forth. So it could be, and I think they also have varying degrees of personality. In a year, all this stuff will probably be common sense, but now we're still kind of seeing how it's emerging and like where all the foundational models will kind of like create an arena where they're most successful. So I think that's a really cool feature. Plus because if we're talking about like, therapeutics for the well, there's so many options now and so many more coming on the table, whether you're talking about hormone replacement therapies, you're talking about GLP-1s, you're talking about all these peptides that are available. There's like the recreational IVs you can get for different things. So, kind of coming up, like not really integrated into the healthcare system, more into kind of holistic health where, I like massages and acupuncture and chiropractic for a while and different things like that, where you can start to get different perspectives from the LLMs. And you also have a centralized place where maybe it starts to make recommendations, because I think that's the other thing that I'm really enjoying about the predictive nature of AI right now is it's going to kind of expose your blind spots. So you might not know about this peptide available to you. You might not know that like, oh, if your, liver markers are here, maybe you can supplement with this kind of food. Basically, what LLM is going to recommend keeping me in the game, exercising hard, but also drinking hard for as long as I possibly can, No,
I do know. I get that. I mean, that's certainly where it's going. I mean, it's an amazing space to be in because it's early days, right? And from a holistic perspective, right? Just to have access to be able to make decisions without going to the doctor's office and to sit there and educate yourself on the couch instead of somebody telling you about all this stuff, right? I think it's so cool. And whether all that data is in an electronic health record or not, right? We allow people to upload that data directly into the phone, right? Take a picture of what you're doing with TRT and put that in there. Then now it's keeping it in there. It's kind of a longitudinal or universal health record in terms of it doesn't just need to be coming out of Epic. It be coming out of, your concierge medicine clinic or an urgent care facility or just a, Quest or, LabCorp, something like that. So that's the whole idea behind what we're trying to do over here.
Yeah. And therapies are anecdotal too, So like if you have an infection, they're going to like, no, you need to take these 3 pills 3 times a day for 7 days. Like do that and take all of it. You're like, okay, done and done. But if you're taking a GLP-1 or you're taking peptides, it's more like, well, how do you feel? And you're like, well, day 3, I kind of felt like ass and then I felt better. And so maybe you want to modulate the dosage back. And you need a place to kind of like keep all this information, and with an agent, obviously you can just talk to it. The one thing that we touched on too, and I was kind of joking about drinking hard, but not really, because if you go to the doctor and they're like, do you have more than 4 alcoholic drinks a week? You're like, yeah. They're like, dude, you lush. I'm like, 4? I mean, I got a glass of wine with dinner, maybe a whiskey at watching the game. What are we talking about here? So it doesn't really incentivize you to be honest with your doctor because
Right. Yeah, totally.
you have to lie to your doctor.
Yeah.
So with AI, it kind of gives you an opportunity, and we can talk about privacy in a second because this kind of dovetails into it. But with AI, you're like, all right, man, here's the real truth, man. I had 7 vodka sodas last night, and I ate a gigantic pizza all by myself. What's a hangover recipe? I got some tomato juice and some pickle juice. What should I do? The options for that kind of honesty seem to be like beneficial for like the patient.
A great point. Yeah. I mean, people are so, weird, for lack of a better term, with their health data. And I mean, there's all sorts of stuff you don't want to share with your physician for various reasons. Like, I live in a really, really small town here. I see my physician at Whole Foods on like the daily, right? You can't be just giving her everything that's going on in my life. You start feeling weird about it. So yeah, it's a trust factor. I think I have a crazy story. I mean, I have a buddy of mine who will remain nameless. He had his prostate removed. He got prostate cancer a couple months ago, had it removed. And his wife, his family, his parents, everyone thinks he had a hernia treated.
Yeah.
He didn't even, right? People are, he just doesn't, he doesn't want the, the feeling of, oh, poor me, I had my prostate removed. Or for whatever reason, he's just keeping it away and keeping it, he wants it in. I think I'm the only guy I know because we've known each other since kindergarten.
Yeah.
So people are strange with their health data. They're protective of this stuff. And so, I think this trend with using AI to get answers is just so cool for various reasons, especially that whole thing with privacy and not needing to share this data with another human being.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's privacy, which is totally legitimate. I would be the exact same way. But then there's also there's poor incentives. If you go to your doctor and they're like, do you smoke? And you're like, oh yeah, I like to have, a couple of cigars on the course or whatever, and blah, blah, blah. They're like, oh, that goes on some clipboard, that then, your life insurance gets a hold of that. And they're like, oh, guess what? Your premiums went up $300 every single month. And you're like, what? Like, I would have just said no. You know what I mean? So now you're in the position, and a lot of people do this. They're just like, I am the picture of health. I am vegan. I fast a day a week because it's just a tough place, and I feel bad for doctors because oftentimes, they're just afraid of catching litigation. So they have to disclose everything. They also, from this show, and talking to a lot of different AI apps, they're not incentivized to have more information either. So I wonder if in your validation with this, if doctors are a little bit hesitant to want to kind of get like the backside of an app like this, or if that's an option, largely because now they're going to have a lot more data points that they're going to have to pull into consideration when they're doing diagnoses. This episode is brought to you by a dangerous idea. It's called reading, specifically the AI for Founders newsletter. 47,000 founders strong now, and it's the good stuff. No top 10 AI tools that will change your life written by someone who doesn't ship product. It's just real breakdowns of what's actually working in AI. Who's raised, who failed, who pivoted, and which founders quietly built $1 million in ARR while everyone else was arguing on X. It's written for people building with AI. Every week you get tactical frameworks, unfair advantages, breakdowns of real companies, and the occasional existential question about whether your startup is intelligent or just well-branded. It's free, it's sharp, it might mildly offend your current workflow. Go to aiforfounders.co and subscribe before your competitor does. Because the only thing worse than being replaced by AI is being replaced by a founder who reads. That's the newsletter at aiforfounders.co. Now back to the show.
I mean, it's such a great point, right? The holy grail of what this is going to become, the winner at the end of the race here, really is because everything can be pulled, right, legally now. And the push back into a provider or the push back into Epic, into the patient chart, requires a ton of more red tape. And it's a 5-year process. You have to go get third-party risk assessments, committee approvals with each place, right? And so, but I've talked to a lot of doctors and lifestyle medicine advocates and value-based care doctors, and it is that they're scared, right? If they or say, hey, okay, I read this information that came from an urgent care facility in Denver that is in this guy's chart that's fed back into there, and I misdiagnose him based off that data, they're on the line. Their heads on the chopping block. And so how to do that super carefully, right? We had a additional caregiver feature in an early version of Savva. And we ended up taking it out because I was sitting there going, okay, make your doc the additional caregiver and have this data feed back to them. But a certified copy of everything that's going on in the app going to them, they have to sit there and read it. First of all, these people have no time in the day. Plus, they're held accountable. Okay, I read that. And then I prescribed this medication still. Oops, I forgot they were taking this other medication with another doctor on the other side of the country, or they went to Thailand and had, this treatment done. And I saw it, but I didn't remember it 3 months later. And so that's a very interesting thing you brought up in terms of, what does that look like? So we took it out completely. Yeah. Going, hey, I think it'd be great for me to get my grandma across the street, plugged in. So when she gets her blood work done and I can check in when's her medication, has she been sleeping, all this stuff. But on the physician side of that, it becomes a liability issue for sure.
Yeah. What's the capacity or maybe the liability for the prescriptive nature of AI? So is there any kind of like guardrails you have to put on it that it's not saying like, this is what you should do or like make medical recommendations?
Yeah. A lot of that's a very good question. On that side, right? You were not certified as a medical device in the eyes of the FDA. And neither is Aura, and neither are big companies, right? And they do so that they can stay away from that. But I think that the big LLMs are having to deal with that because for us, we don't draw medical conclusions.
Yeah,
the prompt engineering and the context engineering of the different AIs we use, it's hey, do not draw medical conclusions, do not give medical advice, and to kind of safeguard that to help people understand that before and after every single thing they read inside the app, the following information is not medical advice. If you're experiencing something severe, go talk to a physician. And then then spits out some information at the end of it. What you just read was not medical advice. So we try to protect ourselves in that way, as well as get the AI, forbid the AI from doing so, but just letting the people know, hey, no, this is not to replace your doctor. This is a stop for in between visits, right? This is when, okay, you had a blood test result come in and, for me, it's impossible. I'm a UCSF guy. It's like, oh, see you in 2.5 months, right? It's like, whoa. I mean, I have the results sitting on my phone. I mean, how am I not going to plug that through Google or through ChatGPT or through Savva, right? I mean, who's not going to do that in this day and age? And so, yeah, I mean, I think that the big companies, the Googles and the OpenAIs of the world are looking at that, and it's a whole process with the government and with the FDA and to be certified, and we're staying away from that arena on purpose.
Yeah, 100%. But it opens itself to kind of these anecdotal things that you can't necessarily get in the doctor's office. A lot of times, it's like a lot of people have high blood pressure when they're at the doctor because they're stressed out that they're at the doctor. You know what I mean? It's like they go hand in hand. So you have to remove sometimes the doctor experience to actually get a direct measurement. So you could do that and like basically keep an eye on that yourself through something like Strava. Another thing that I think would be just a application that I could imagine using is, just reporting on how you feel, because mental health is obviously like a big factor for all of us, whether it's stress, anxiety, depression. We all go through a different phase and we're all trying to work through things like that. But for me, it's usually more helpful to think about those things in terms of like actually my physicality. You know what I'm saying? Where it's like, man, I feel kind of down today. And, Strava could be like, well, bro, you only slept 4 nights or 4 hours a night for the last 4 nights. Like, oh yeah, it's not that have a depressed episode. I'm tired, Or another example is like here in Denver, I'm a hot yoga guy, so I'll try and go to hot yoga 5 to 6 days a week. But on top of that, I live in the dang desert. So like hydration is like, it's a full-time job. This is like number 3 for the day. And I got salt in here and I've tried a million different things. So really, I'm trying to figure out like how much water do I need to drink? What's the best liquid? To me right now, it seems like bone broth with a little Himalayan salt really helps out. But like if I'm reporting on a daily basis, like here's my water, here's my food, here's my workouts, here's my diet, here's how I feel, then, the LLMs can come in and be like, hey man, actually we've noticed that if you drink a quart of bone broth the next day, you usually feel better 90% of the time. So it's like little insights like that on like outcomes based on like your own behavior that I think could be like really helpful.
You use Cal AI or MyFitnessPal to log all that?
Cal AI now. I was a MyFitnessPal guy for years. Well, I guess they now acquired Cal AI.
Oh, I didn't know.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. That must have been recent because I know that guy, he was like 19 or something like that.
Yeah. The rumor, it was $100 million deal.
What a savage.
I know. That kid, he went to, and he still went, he was a freshman at the U. So he like did a year at the U. I heard this interview with him and he was like, I don't think I'm going to go back next year.
Yeah, no, I wonder why not. Yeah. What a stud. Yeah, I got to look into that again. I know that we can read data from both of those apps into Savva, which is cool, right? You just have to connect it to Apple Health Kit and it's done dotted. So it's inside the app. Very cool. Are you elementing or for the salts or you use actual pink Himalayan salt?
I've tried that. I've tried probably just about every single hydration thing that's out there. What's the best one? It's like EBS or something like that.
Oh, I'm not familiar with that one. I drink Element. I think it's called Element. I call them Element tea because
Element's good. Element's good. Drip Drop is pretty good. Yeah. But my go-to will be like a giant jar of water with a full lemon squeezed in and like a pinch of salt. Like that does pretty good. But wow. I think it's the bone broth. Right now, I'm like, there's this like Korean bone broth that you can get at Costco that pretty darn good. I mean, it seems to like be more satiating. You know what I mean? Like it actually, maybe it's the salt in it that you can feel like the hydration more than just the liquid. I don't know.
I wrote down bone broth. I'm gonna have to talk to my wife about that one. She's drinks bone broth all day long, it seems like. And I'm curious what that would be like in one of my salt drinks. And this is a full salt right here, like Stay Salty right here on the.
Nice. So you struggle with the battles of hydration.
See, these days I'm so busy trying to get this thing out. My workout regimen is completely shifted. And so I've got a sauna down in the garage. And what I'll do is I'll take my early morning calls with my co-founder and my team. I'll just be sitting in the sauna. Nice. My wife telling me that's not working out. I'm like, it's all I could squeeze in. I wake up at 4:30, and if I look at my phone before I go to the gym, which is normal, I'm done. I'm just okay. I've got a fire to put out. Oh gosh, and so I'll sit in the sauna now, and that's as good as I'll get pretty much. So I sit in there for 45 minutes in my infrared sauna and crush a salt, crush a curd jar filled with water, and I'm gonna try some lemon and some bone broth in there tomorrow for sure.
Yeah, it definitely helps. I mean, I just can't get caught up unless I don't go to hot yoga for like 3-4 days and then I can feel it. But like, it's starting to like it's it's all again anecdotal stuff. So it's like brain fog. Like sometimes I can't pull the names out that I want, and I'm like, what is it? Am I having a stroke? And it's like, no, dude, you're dehydrated again and again and again. But I just love the sweat. So what am I gonna do?
That's so funny, dude.
So let's talk about the inception of Savva. Where did the idea come from, and kind of what were your first steps in motion?
Yeah, my business partner Amit, he's a brilliant technologist, and I'm at the beck and call of this guy. He's so brilliant, and it's his conception. We've been together on a previous startup. I was the head of sales and the first sales hire and the first employee really of a small startup called Protocol First. And these guys, what we were doing is they were going into EHRs and enabling pharmaceutical companies and life science companies to have access to this data without having to send a human being from Zurich over to NYU Langone to do clinical trial coordination and review. And it's kind of cool because we were the first, what they call, I don't know if you know the acronym FHIR, But when it comes to healthcare data interoperability, the FHIR standard, developed by HL7, again, that's just acronym the heck out of this conversation. The ability to use FHIR, we were the first FHIR app that any Epic hospital ever utilized to extract patient identifiable health information outside of hospital firewalls and send it, in our cases, to electronic data capture systems used for the FDA submission process. And so COVID came around, and all of a sudden, every pilot we had, all these pharmas were coming, oh my gosh, I can't get my data out of these healthcare institutions. And so Roche Pharma via Flatiron Health bought that company, swallowed it up pretty quickly then after. And we were sitting there one day, Amit and I, trying to figure out what we wanted to do next. And we noticed that the 21st Century ONC Cures Act, this piece of legislation had come through that basically says, third parties like Savva or ChatGPT or, Amazon can get access to someone's health data records as long as they credentialize themselves. And we're sitting there going, wow, I mean, we've been all through FHIR. And we're just looking at going, hey, man, we've been doing this stuff for a long time. How cool is that? There's a little asterisk in there if you read the fine print that you don't need to be HIPAA compliant with that data, which is a problem I think that is happening in the industry today, right? There's all sorts of nefarious characters and capitalists, if you will, that can go out and do anything they want with this data. But from a population health perspective, what an awesome thing. Okay, people can actually, make decisions. They don't need to go through Epic. They can go through, opening it up to third parties. And so we started building it and started building these pipes, if you will. We call ourselves the blue collar workers, just going into a healthcare system, building that pipe between us and them and moving on to the next. And then AI started blowing up and saying, oh, what a cool thing. Instead of going to WebMD or Googling your symptoms, to actually get answers to these questions that are actually rooted in your data. Yeah. Like you said, why do I have a headache? Do I have brain cancer? Like, wait, no, you use MyFitnessPal and you logged 4 glasses of Chardonnay at 9 o'clock. What do you mean? Or no, you're dehydrated. You've been doing hot yoga 6 days a week and trying to, provide those insights. And then you look at we looked at the wearables, right? I've got my Whoop here charging at the moment. Going, well, okay, like what a cool thing that you could have all that stuff in one place. Most people, whether you're a biohacker or you're managing a chronic disease, you're, a boomer, whoever you are, most people have more than one, maybe not more than one wearable, but, like if you have Strava or you have MyFitnessPal or you have a Peloton and a Whoop or a Garmin. I use my Garmin when I ski and I use my Apple Watch when I'm sitting in the office. Being able to put all this data, and plus, I used to live in Utah. I have health records with the University of Utah, with UCSF, with UCLA when I was in college down in Southern California. And being like, okay, what about one place instead of all these logins? You can have just a unified experience and track your goals and see how many steps you've done through my Peloton and my sauna downstairs and track your weight through Withing Smart Scales and just a way to have one app instead of all these things that people have. So that's what sparked it. And we were early on, right? I had to convince people a year and a half ago that this was a good idea. Then all of a sudden in October, Verily Me launched, right? Google came out with their version of this. And that's a pretty interesting product. They ask for your social security number as you sign up. I mean, who's going to share their medical records with Google? Not me, but to each their own. And then a couple months later, you've got ChatGPT and Anthropic launching in the same week. And now just last week or 2 weeks ago, Amazon's gotten in, Microsoft kind of rebranded their Copilot product and again, asking you for their medical records. And so it's heated up really fast. It's extremely validating. Also, a bunch of 700-pound gorillas in the room now. So it's kind of a humbling experience from a startup operator's perspective.
But the important differentiator is you don't share anybody's information with anybody, correct?
I mean, the whole thing, we don't have accounts first and foremost.
Yeah.
Okay, the whole thing about encrypted and in transit and rest and de-identified. We go one step higher. We're unidentified.
Yeah.
Like I don't want, 23andMe taught us all, right? Oh, we're not doing anything with your data. We're just storing it. Don't worry about it. And then one day they have a bad quarter. And oh, by the way, we're monetizing this data now in a million ways. And it's already happened. You can't make the decision. So for us, we don't have any identifiable way to track people. Plus, we're using local storage on device. The app gets bigger over time as you get more medical records and more things come in there. Right? As opposed to storing this data in the cloud. I don't want to sit here one day and be like, I need a bigger sauna. I'm going to start monetizing my users' data. We won't even have the option, or some company comes in and acquires us. There's no data sitting there. It's on people's phones. It's never kept in our servers, whether it's a medical record or a workout on Whoop. Right. I mean, Oura Ring's another one, right? This was an Oura Ring up until September. I was so pissed. Did you catch the Oura Ring thing in September where the CEO got on stage and, oh, by the way, we have an $800 million a year deal with Palantir. You're like,
dude, what?
Wait, do I still have to pay $8 a month? Oh, I do. Okay. So there's just no incentive at all. And you're just selling. Oh, it's all being done safely. Right. Oh, like, yeah. It's actually like, can I get in and look at the source code on that? Really? Like, the consumers lost trust. And so that's our big thing but there's a problem. If you talk about it too much, people start going, why is this guy talking about security and privacy? And no one can believe, and I can lie through a privacy policy just like any other company. I can lie to you on this podcast recording right now, but it's one of those things. Check out the app growing on your phone, turn on airplane mode. And ask questions to these AI agents, and just this is not happening on the internet. And we feel like I can't name another company in the space that's doing it. And I think
important. And the audience of this podcast, they're all building locally. I mean, they're all six Mac Minis deep on their desk because they don't want that relay either. So I think it's incredibly important because everyone's going to be trying to do this because you can just see in their eyes, like, I mean, the value of that. It's like they're non-sanctioned clinical trials for everything. It's like, how many Fritos can people really eat before they keel over? Turns out it's about 10 pounds. We have the data. You know what I mean? Like, you're just running free trials for these companies, and like, it's gross, and that there will be repercussions. I think, unfortunately, the temperature of culture right now is very distrustful from big tech for sure, government for sure. Once they're all intertwined, and it seems like they're just cozy bedmates now. It seems to hang us out to dry. Put it that way.
Totally. Right. And who knows what happens downstream, right? That's the whole idea. And it's not even, I'm not worried about a Russian hacker getting my medical information or something like that happening. I'm like worried about an insurance company having access to, I've got Steve's wearables. I got his medical records. I got every conversation he has with the two of them. And I'm smart. I'm a payer. I call those guys payers because they have a lot of money. And there's a lot of intelligent people that work at these companies, and it's easy for them to run a quick algorithm like, hey, Steve's pre-diabetic, and he doesn't even know. His doctor doesn't even know. And we're going to boost that premium up until the day he finds out, and then we're just going to stop covering him, right?
Yeah.
That's HIPAA's health insurance portability. The first 3 letters, man. It's all about protecting ourselves from those guys. And so I think it's scary. I think that when the dust, like you said, I think due process and these things will happen eventually when the dust settles. Like, there's some nefarious characters that are kind of taking advantage of a piece of legislation that was passed, 3-4 years ago now. And it just blows our mind. It just, every day when these new products come out, I just go, wait, I'm going to share my data with this massive tech company that only makes money by harvesting data. Right. Yeah. And like that with my most private information that I have on me. It's absurd. It's absolutely absurd.
I know. And, that's why I get so excited about the medical devices and the applications and the people that are trying to bridge a help for this because we're in such a dire place. If it's not on device, if they have their way, then you'd be going to you could be like, oh, duh, my tooth is killing me, man. Can you fix it? And he'd be like, well, we'd love to cover you, but we noticed you had ice cream 3 times this month. So we're not going to. It's like, well, I wish it wasn't so like nefarious as that, but it sure feels like it is sometimes.
It's getting, that's where we're heading. Unless something happens, that's the direction we're heading in. And I mean, we're going to live or die on that cross. I'm not going to play in that space. It's 2026. Data is king. I get it. If I want like a beachfront house in Lake Tahoe, should probably start harvesting people's data. I'm not going to play in that space. I'd rather go open up a lemonade stand outside my house and just do it that way instead. I'm not going to do it. And it remains, to be seen. I think it's still really early, but I think, you look at some of these products, these companies, and, I think ChatGPT has already kind of pivoted away. They're trying to compete with Claude and with the engineering side. And I think that the American consumer is more intelligent than just being willing to do this, but maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah, totally. Well, GPT has got their own PR problems now. They have to pick one at a time for sure. But let's talk about your house in Tahoe. Now you priced this at $10 a year. So how did you kind of land on that pricing model?
I mean, again, concierge medicine, right? I've got buddies in the city who have these, badass doctors they get to go visit, that they have their mental health all handled in one place, part of their gym and their spa and red light therapy. I mean, no one can afford these tools. Like the average person cannot. And so from a population health perspective, we looked at it and said, hey, we're a small team because we have direct access to these EHRs and we don't go through health information exchanges or any vendors. We have 314,000 connected healthcare institutions in the States right now in the app directly, not going through the BeWells and the Commonwealths and the HealthXs of the world. Direct links. And we don't have to pay for those API calls. Right. So and the same thing with the wearables. We didn't go directly to Whoop and directly to Garmin and directly to all these big companies and pay for these API calls. We went to Apple Health, go into the Whoop app, click over share to Apple Health. Now all of a sudden Savva's reading it, and that's for free too. And so we've made it in a way that's cheap to operate.
Yeah.
It's not like it's a big lift. And so for the cost of a coffee, I just think the value. We want population density on this thing. It's not if I was charging $150 a year or $150 a month, like we have people in the space that are doing that. I think it's absurd, right? I mean, you can go into Epic for free and get all this information. You can run this stuff through the free, you can download all of your health data, all of your medical records data, all the things you're doing for your TRT therapy and throw it all into the free version of GPT. Yes, it's all in the cloud now and it's all out there, but you can do that for free. I think we just wanted to create something that's accessible and includes everyone. And really the global footprint of Savva is the goal, right? When you go to the website, we have a thing called Universal Records, and I've lost it in the last 6 months trying to get the consumer app built and getting Apple approved and all this stuff. But the goal for this is, okay, maybe 100 million people in Western Europe and the US have access to like EHRs, and you can get those people connected over the next 5 years. In that same time period, I can get 1 billion people in underserved regions around the world, right? Places where at a couple $100 million of an EHR build, it's not coming to Dar es Salaam, Tanzania. It's not in my son's lifetime. Like modern healthcare and digital health there's no infrastructure. They can't afford any of that. And so for us, I look at Savva as more of a global tool whether you're living in rural US or on the moon, you have access to the same data set. You put all your data in there. Whether if you don't have an EHR, upload documents. It treats it in chronological order as a visit, trying to create this history. And so that's really the reason is that, the guy in Dar es Salaam, Tanzania can swallow $10 a year, and try to make this more of a global footprint as opposed to just in the US and Western Europe.
It's beautiful. And a couple of thoughts on that. I think that's really the future for software now, because as the price of software goes to zero and you can just like, oh, I just vibe code that myself.
Yeah.
Then you're just like, yeah, but do I really want to when they've absolutely nailed it right here? And it's inexpensive. And then the second component is this is an amazing add-on for healthcare providers where the value add is enormous. It doesn't have anything to do with them. So they could easily put that into their packages with very little expense that people use every day. It's like I get emails from United Healthcare all the time about like, check this out, check that out. And one was like, check out our, diet and wealth management tool. And I went there and it was like a blog with kids on a swing set. I'm like, bro, what am I doing over here on your blog, United Healthcare? I don't want this. Whereas as opposed to like a tool that would integrate into like my daily practice all the time, it seems really smart. So let's talk about go to market, because you're just approved with Apple iOS, which means like you're in the game now. Like you're ready to get users. Aside from the AI for Founders user lift, how else are you planning on getting subscribers?
So it's a great question, right? We met because we got approved on Saturday or Sunday this weekend.
So cool.
And so, it's time to kick tires, dude. It's like, okay, here it comes. Next, maybe 3 weeks, month, probably going to put this out there on the App Store. This is our first foray into consumer health, and consumer facing anything for my business partner and I. And so we have this whole mentality for no stone unturned, right? We're doing podcasts where we have 2,000 people on the beta that I've have gotten by having one-on-one conversations for the past 9 months.
Yeah.
All day today, I've been on the phone talking with people, evangelizing them one by one. And then my ask with every single one of them is, hey, like whether you're a physician or you're a patient advocate or you work for a nonprofit or whoever you are, yes, I want access to your people, but more so just like, talk to your aunt, just pay it forward one person at a time, right? It's a free app with a $10 a year premium on it, right? If it's not like we're asking a lot. So the go-to-market is all consumer facing. I'm doing a lot of podcasts. This is maybe my 15th or 20th podcast I've done a recording for in the last couple of months, and trying to get on as many as I can to kind of talk about it and the differentiators with how we're doing security and privacy, and a lot of big time doctors. I think that, about 1,000 of my 2,000 participants are all MDs, and not just normal ones that are lifestyle medicine doctors are my favorite group of people. I didn't even know who they were a year ago. And everyone I talk to is a lifestyle medicine doc. Those guys are cool. Or
longevity specialists. You're like, ooh, what are you guys doing? What are you?
Or like, oh, you can reverse diabetes. There's ways to, eat healthier, work out more. It's like, whoa, that's like those guys like 6 years ago were like normal doctors like, oh, don't listen to those guys. Take the meds, do the insulin injections. Like, no. And so trying to talk to, I think there's 9 million followers on LinkedIn just through our 2,000 people I've got, and trying to, get app of the day and do all these things, but it's a total crapshoot, right? We're unfunded, we're bootstrapped, which is, another kind of that goes into what we're talking about with go to market. I'd love to give all the money in the world to American College of Lifestyle Medicine and American Diabetes, American Heart, and go through these patient advocacy groups and these cancer coaches and let's go. But without that, it's all organic, just having conversations one by one. And right, we have verticals, like you mentioned it. If you, when I was leaving UCSF when my son was born a couple years ago, my wife and I were walking out, and the outpatient nurse goes, hey, by the way, you get the Calm app for free on us. I'm like, what? I've been paying for that for years. What? And I looked it up, and all those guys are doing is just a business relationship with their marketing department. Okay, hey man, we have this thing. We think it's super cool. It's safe. It's secure. It's a way for, to people, for people to basically force them to meditate. I think people who say they meditate, I don't believe them. It's just impossible. At least for me, I can't think 1 second without a thought in my head. It's impossible. And all they're doing is, hey, instead of $10 a year in our case, okay, $10 a year. Okay, they buy it from us for $3 a year at bulk and start giving it to people on the way out the door. That's what I want this to have with healthcare on that vertical. As well as taking place with, like the Maha movement, we're kind of, doing all that we can with Make America Healthy Again. It's kind of there's a lot of trendy stuff that's going on over there. The health tech ecosystem and CMS access is really cool. I don't know if you're read up on the access model, and that's going to be launching this July. So try to do a lot of things on the enterprise side of the business as well to support what we're doing with consumers. But it all starts with consumers. We can't do anything without, hey man, we got this amount of people in the app and it's growing, and it's, we still have to, it's a battle right now. If you have any ideas, I am all ears, Ryan, in terms
I got some ideas. I'll tell you off air, but I tell you what, bootstrap founders are my absolute favorite, man. I congratulations on getting it through the iOS store. That is a major hurdle. I know. So it's really exciting. So if you're thinking about like throwing a dart at the calendar, what's going to be the launch date?
I think we probably will launch. I mean, looking at the calendar right now, maybe an Earth Day 420, maybe.
Yeah.
Something like that. That's the first time I thought about it.
Yeah.
But that's looking at the calendar, maybe something like that. I think I have 3 unpaid interns, shout out interns. They all reached out to me from different colleges around the country. I think I always tell potential investors, like, what a KPI, got all these kids coming to me saying, hey bro, I'll help any way I can. This is rad. As well as my sales guy, shove him on payroll. We're changing our entire process. We're talking to journalists for the next month. We're talking to press. We're talking to bloggers. We're talking to podcasters. As now that it was a 6-month battle to get Apple to the app. I mean, it was insane. I would have bet the farm under 6 months, but I would have lost everything on that one.
Incredible. Well, and shout out to those interns too. That's really smart. One of the founders of this program, AInativestudent.com, that's what they recommend too right now, because all these college students, are midway through their degree and they're looking at the end of the day, like a lot of those jobs, the job market just is not going to exist in 2 years the way it is now or 2 years ago. So,
Sure.
they're always encouraging us, like, go out and connect with AI companies right now. So shout out to them.
Yeah, smart guys, all across the board. We've had maybe 6 in total over the summer. We had 2 others, one from USC, one at University of Maryland, and they were busy with their studies right now. But hopefully we get them back this summer. And if there's any interns out there, hit me up on LinkedIn for sure. I could use all the help I could get.
Amazing. Stephen, this is so exciting. When you do hit that official launch date, let me know. We'll do everything we can to help distribute that message. I can't wait to check it out. Savva, what's the website for Savva?
SAVVA.ai, Savva.ai, and you can sign up for the beta right now. And after you click, you're interested, about a minute later, you'll receive an invite from Test Flight, and you'll get on it.
Incredible. And the best place to connect with you personally, LinkedIn?
LinkedIn, or if anyone's ever in Sonoma, California, the little village of Sonoma. I was born and raised here, and if you go down the Sonoma Plaza and scream my name, I'll hear you, and I'll meet you down there for coffee, beer, wine, food, whatever it is. That's another good way to get a hold of me. Come to Sonoma.
Beer, wine, good food. If you hear a conch shell, that's me.
Yeah. I've been waiting for it, man. You said you're coming out. I'm waiting.
Amazing. Stephen, congratulations. Thanks so much for coming on the show.
Thanks, Ryan.
You are about to spend anywhere from $100,000 to $300,000 on your kid's college education, and that's not a small bet. And right now, there's a very real chance that they graduate and can't find a job, not because they weren't smart enough, not because they didn't work hard enough, but because the job market changed and nobody told them. Employers are hiring AI native candidates. People who don't just know their field, but know how to work with AI at a professional level. And most colleges are not teaching this, not even close. AInativestudent.com is the program that fills that gap. It takes high school and college students and teaches them how to actually think and work with AI the way top companies expect on day one, so your investment in their degree actually pays off. You're already paying for tuition, housing, textbooks. This is the one thing that actually makes it all worth it. Go to AInativestudent.com because a diploma is a starting point. Being AI native is what gets them hired. That's AInativestudent.com.